What's good, man? What's
What's
good?
good, man? What's good? You know what it is. We back here again, Positively Relentless, another episode. We had some good news finally. Finally got that dub because it was looking bad. 4-game lose streak. We was in the doom and gloom talking some things about those Mavericks, but they had a gutsy win. I wasn't as impressed as you were, so that's why we're going to talk about it. But hey, the Mavs got the victory, and we're going to talk some good Mavs. Jumping on in here, T Smooth TV. Los, what's up with you? Everybody get on in the building. Big Game James, DDP, you know what we're going to do. We're going to talk some good NBA basketball because we had I don't know if it's a big signing, but hell, it might help. Let's talk about it, DDP. What's good with
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
dog?
yeah. So Mavericks finally do something. They get
Mm-hmm.
themselves Kemba Walker. Now, Kemba hasn't played yet this year, but it is an interesting addition. Not least of which because Dallas doesn't have guys that can really create outside of Luca for obvious reasons. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie is pretty good in that category, but you need more guys that can create, and you just don't have those, and it's painfully obvious some nights. Christian Wood can give you a little something, something. He's actually had a couple rough games in a row now,
Whew, yeah.
but I just think the whole uncertainty of his role and how he's kind of getting jerked
Yep.
around here and there, I think it's just starting to
Taking
impact the
starting.
play.
Yep. I
Or
agree.
it could just be a little bit of a rut as well. But
Nah, I'm gonna go with your first one. I'm gonna think because
yeah,
we're all human beings and it's all talked in the media. How can it how can it not affect you, DDP, when everybody in
yeah,
damn Dallas is talking about it?
yeah. No, I get you. And so they've been just woefully short there. And despite all the fans yelling and screaming until they were blue in the face all off season, saying you need a third ball handler, you need a third ball handler. Shouldn't have let Jalen go. Shouldn't have let Jalen go. You have a situation where Dallas is like, including Nico Harrison, not just Mark Cuban, but Nico Harrison is like, well, we have a third ball handler. We have Frank Ntilikina. Yeah. Technically, yes, but not really, especially with his availability being so lackluster, hit or miss this year. And then they tell you Josh Green. Now, Josh Green is making big strides, and you even see flashes of that playmaking. That twisting, spinning pass he had to the corner to Bertans last night, good googly moogly. That is so ridiculous of a play. It's almost like we talked about him needing confidence. The confidence and audacity to throw that pass, ridiculous. But it's not the same as what you're lacking. So they tell you have all these guys. Hell, they mentioned Dorsey with the legends and all that. It's just like, no, man, like we need help. We need serious help. And they didn't want to hear that. They just kept insisting, like, oh, we got our guy. We got it with him. No, you don't. No, you don't. Now, you go get Kemba Walker 3 years after you tried to get him previously. That was the big thing, the big signing that even internal media people with the Mavs were kind of spotlighting 3 years ago before Boston swooped in. I think at the time they moved on from Al Horford's deal, moved him to
Mm-hmm.
OKC, that created the cap space for them to get in on the Kemba Walker deal. But it was believed right up until Boston did that last minute before the free agency that Kemba Walker was going to come to Dallas. But Kemba, being an East Coast guy, wanted to stay closer to home and all that. I get it, whatever. He chose Boston, and it did not take long for the wheels to kind of fall off. His knees are very questionable. But you've still had moments. You have within this last calendar year a game for the Knicks in which he dropped 44 points on damn efficient shooting. So the ability is there. We know when in his prime, he was a scoring machine. He can create, he can do whatever he wants off the dribble. Health is the big thing. He was traded in the offseason to Detroit, had a buyout, and has just been sitting out there. So it's help. Yes. Is it an improvement over what we have had? Yes. And that's desperately needed. Is it the best move he could have made? Overall, no. Given the current situation, probably. So I'm willing to see what he can do. I have very low expectations. Dude, if the thing that why it didn't work out with Franco is his 3-point shooting was crap. Like he was, for his career, a better 3-point shooter, but teams just weren't guarding him really. They weren't pressuring him or closing out hard because he wasn't converting. And so he had no gravity to him. And it was just another guy that was too limited. And it's like, all right, well, here's one of the things that we asked you to do that was key to you being able to do. You can't do it. Fine, we're going to move on. And Kemba Walker, his 3-point percentage, particularly on the types of shots, the spot up shooting that Franco was terrible at, Kemba has always been stellar, like 30 between 37 and 39% throughout his career in those situations. So that's an improvement. Even if he had a similar role overall, which he won't, but even if he did, the one thing he does is better than what they moved, flipped roster wise for him. So I'll see. I'm not waving victory flags or anything like that, but I'm at least intrigued, even though I don't think Kemba is Kemba of old. He's just old Kemba.
Yeah, he's an old Kemba just because of those knees. I mean, he's not super old, 32 years old, but old. Yeah. That's old by NBA standards for real. You like a grandpa if you're 32 years old. In my opinion about this whole thing, I'm gonna kind of agree with you how you said it, as in, is it really a true upgrade? No, not really. If you really look at it, if you were to add him to a team, you're not looking like, oh, Kemba Walker's on your team now, because he's not that guy who he used to be. He had the injury history, he had the knee issues. They talk about it could have been an arthritic knee, and that's something that's worrisome. He doesn't give you defense, so you're not going to look at him as some defensive guy that he's going to add to the team or anything like that. But if you're talking about who you waived and what you brought in, yes, it does help. Because that is another ball handler. That is a proven NBA scorer. He's a career 19-point per game average guy. So you know he can feel it. He's a bucket getter. He's good with the pick and roll. Like you said, he's a guy that can create his own shot, which we need. And like I said, the only thing is he's just not the old Kemba. He's just old. But hopefully he can give us a jolt. He averaged 11 points a game with the Knicks. And, he had that big 30-something point game where you saw
44.
44. You saw that old Kemba, and he was going crazy. And that's what it was looking like. Now, can he do that with Dallas? I don't think so. But what I am saying is we definitely need somebody who can put the ball in the hole. We need somebody who can create their own shot, and we need something that can create for other people as well. So in that aspect, we really do need this addition, and hopefully it can help because it is welcome considering what you let go and what you brought in.
Yeah, for sure. Yo, shout out to MT. Watching 3:36 in the morning in Germany right now. That's how bad he wanted to catch us live. So salute to you, man. You are
Frankfurt,
a trooper.
Germany here, baby. I used to live in Frankfurt, lived in Frankfurt, Germany for 2 years. So shout out to you out there, baby.
Nice. Very cool. So shout out to you, MT. Yeah. So the Kemba thing. Yeah. I'm intrigued.
I want to say I do want to say one thing about that DDP. A negative, if you want to call it that, to me, it could be a positive. Jason Kidd did it right, but the way we see how Jason Kidd is operating this year, I don't think he's going to do it. So I think it's just wishful thinking, just from my aspect. But the negative that could be a positive, the negative is that Jaden Hardy, when you bring in that veteran in like Jason Kidd, and it's a veteran, now I feel like Jaden Hardy, you ain't even going to see no minutes from him, because now you got the guy who you added. So Jaden Hardy, if he had any opportunity to see the floor, I feel like it was morphed and taken away by the way Jason Kidd coaches, bringing in a Kemba Walker. Now, here's where I say it could be something good, because if you're starting Dinwiddie and if you're still starting Luka, if you were bringing a Kemba Walker off the bench, now I'm cool with giving Jaden Hardy minutes, because I don't have to put all the pressure on Jaden Hardy, because now we don't have another ball handler. So when you let's say if you put a Jaden Hardy in there and you didn't have a Kemba Walker, Jaden Hardy's probably going to turn the ball over. He's probably going to try to create too much. He's probably going to the nerves, you know what I mean? He's going to probably try to do too much. If you got a Kemba Walker in there who's a veteran, and then bring Hardy in for maybe 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying, in the flow in the game, in the second quarter's almost over, last 2-3 minutes of the game, Kemba Walker's in there, somebody let him get it. G League ain't helping this man no more. I'm sorry, y'all. Don't tell me G League helping this man. He owns G League. He leads scoring G League. Come right down, dominate G League. He need NBA minutes, and you can give him 5 minutes, 6 minutes here. You can morph it and make it happen to where it's not messing up the flow of the game. DDP. It's not gonna hurt your team because you can put him in a spot. When you had that lead against Golden State, if you had him called up, you had a 17-point lead. That was a prime opportunity to throw him in there for a little bit, let him get a little bit of a mix and play in that game. Because this kid, I'm not saying he's ready to come in there and be an NBA star, but man, come on, man. This kid, his confidence is growing. Get the kid some minutes, Jason Kidd, please. I need to see him. He's gonna help your team, dude.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say on especially with the Warriors, a 17-point lead, just the Warriors historically, even last year, it's nothing. I mean, they go on a barrage in 4 plays, and suddenly it's like, well, 17 is down to 5. You know, like that's what they do. And the Mavericks have had trouble holding on to leads all year. They've had like 7 or 8 times they built up like a 17 to 20-point lead, sometimes more, and every time give it away. Now, a lot of those times they go on to lose. In some cases, the Warriors, the Clippers, they're able to hang on and at least still pull out a win, and gutsy wins at that. Those are 2 of their better wins in the year, and it's because they had to show some guts after getting up big, kind of falling back, getting a little complacent, taking some bad shots, settling too much, and then having to fight like hell to hold off the team that suddenly comes charging like mad back from a big deficit. So that's on the Hardy thing. Yes, I would love to see some Jaden Hardy. It drives me insane that they keep calling him up, and you have stuff like Jason Kidd saying crap like, "Oh, hopefully we can get him some minutes." And I like, mother effer, you are the coach. What do you mean?
Right.
If he's frustrating, to slot bro. 5 minutes of his time for the game, you can do that. Like, you tell us in the off season, here's your starters. You have that authority before anyone touches the practice court to tell us our starters. You have the authority to say, yeah, we're going to get him some minutes tonight. All you got to say is just say that. You don't even have to tell us how much. Just tell us that. And fans will be like, oh, yes, finally. Okay, here we go. But like this mess around, it's like, yeah, hopefully we can do that. It's like, you're just messing with us at this point. Because I know you hear it. They cry about Mavs Twitter all the time. All the time. Even they're within their media sphere, like 105.3 The Fan, on their website had like a blog saying like, oh, Mavs Twitter goes toxic as team struggles.
I've seen that.
That's that's first of all, that's NBA Twitter. I know Mavs Twitter is toxic. Don't get me wrong. Right. But like, I think a lot of the frustration right now is justified because it's the stuff we called out all off season, and you kept looking at us in our stupid fucking faces and telling us that we were wrong. And then the Kemba move is literally confirmation, acknowledgement that you were wrong.
Because y'all said it in the news and in the media. We're good. We don't need Mark Cuban said it. Nico said it. We're good. We got a third ball handler in Frank. He gonna bring some stuff. And I know we all sat back and said, Frank, really?
Yeah, it's frustrating, but it is what they're doing, and Kidd is being very stubborn in some of his lineups right now. Now Hardaway had a good game. He had a very good game. Finally broke out 22 points on 8 of 16 shooting, 5 of 11 from 3. He started the previous game too, and was, as We Talk Mavs likes to say, trash can juice. That was basically how his performance was that game. Kidd comes right back, doubles down on starting him, and he comes out with a big game. Again, 22 points, 50% from the field. With Christian Wood especially struggling in this game, that's huge. That is. And it's one of the rare flashes of Hardaway that we've really seen since the foot injury last year, which even before that, he was having a rough year last year before the foot injury happened in, I think, January. So, I mean, we're still talking same calendar year at this point, but still. So, yeah, that's a point of frustration. You've seen Hardaway still getting a ton of minutes until last night. He had done nothing to really repay that, to quote unquote earn that, as we've been trying to get a lineup change with like Christian Wood starting in there and like Kidd refusing to do that. And he says like, he'll have weird moments where like against Milwaukee in the second half, they did come out with Luka and Wood.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And that was the one quarter Dallas won. And after the game, Luka is saying, yeah, man,
I like that lineup.
I liked that a lot. I think that was a good lineup for us to run. We were able to make some plays, do a little bit, and I think we need to do more of that. And then asked Kid about the same thing. Kid asked about the same thing. Says, yeah, we really didn't get any stops, and that's kind of where we lost it. And he's talking about the third quarter again. Like him and Luka, your superstar and the fans have one perspective, and your coach has another that is largely detached from reality because, like I said, the one quarter Dallas won against Milwaukee, that was fast, was the third quarter. So you're just like, what are we talking about here? What are we doing? And like I said, the minutes for Hardaway until last night hadn't paid dividends at all. Reggie Bullock is still shooting terrible.
I think it's everything against the field again.
Yeah, at this point, you give his minutes to Josh Green. Just do it. Josh
For real,
Green
just do it. He's earned it.
Yeah, he's earned it, like legitimately, even by Jason Kidd's claim of like you got to earn it. Josh Green has done that. Josh Green has had several good stretches here, and you're seeing him get more opportunity here. He was again,
and he'll attack the basket.
Yes, 27 minutes, 13 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, only 1 turnover. I mean, he took some big time shots. Like he hit a 3 late in the game when Dallas was kind of making that push in the fourth quarter. And you're just like, dude, the confidence to take that shot and knock it down, that's big time. Like that's legit. He attacking the basket. Like he's doing stuff that not many other guys on this team can do. It's basically Luka, Dinwiddie, and no one else can do what he did. At one point, he basically escaped a trap near half court, took it all the way to the cup and finished strong. And it's just like, yes, this is the sort of thing we need. We need guys that can do this. Like having spot up shooters is great when they knock down shots.
Right.
When they can't knock down shots and no one has to guard them, you get a million photos per game of Luka absolutely smothered by 3 defenders, and yet he's still leading the league in scoring.
And he's tired. He said it. He said it in that Golden State game. He said in that Golden State game he was tired. So what's that telling you right there? He's already averaging like 37 minutes, like almost a league high. You leading the league in scoring, but you damn near leading the league in minutes too. So
yeah,
you got to be able to get this Josh Green in there. I don't understand it. Like I said, DDP, you told it to me. You preached it to me. I try to give this man the benefit of the doubt. You can't say I didn't know. Yeah, DDP will tell you. I'll give Jason Kidd the benefit of the doubt. Okay, I feel you, DDP. I hear what you're saying. I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. But like I said, DDP, you starting to get on my nerves. I'm listening to DDP in my ear, and you getting on my nerves now, Jason Kidd, because I don't sometimes I don't want to believe things, even though when you deep down inside you feel like they are true. You just don't want to believe it. And it's everything that I didn't want to believe is coming true, what I felt deep down inside. You doing these goofy things, and when you brought up the Milwaukee thing and how he dealt with Giannis and how he's doing this stuff with not just Christian Wood, when you're talking about Jaden Hardy, it's almost like it's almost like you're being defiant. It's almost like he's being defiant against the Mavs fans and the Mavs media. It's like he's being defiant against us. Like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to do what I want to. It's almost like he's looking at us like, yeah, I hear what y'all saying, but I don't care. I'm going to do what I want. And that's what it is. And I feel like it's putting it to a detriment, because when I look at Christian Wood at 2 of 12, I'm not going to say he's in a slump. You know, we both kind of agree with that. We don't feel like he's in a slump. Now it's the mental thing starting to get into his head. And I was saying this before, that when he was already saying that he wanted to start, and he wasn't getting no minutes. I'm going to just do what I'm told. Okay, well, like I said, as soon as he comes in the game, he's shooting up a shot. Why? Because that pressure of, when am I going to be sitting? I might be sitting in the next 8 minutes. So let me hurry up and get my points when I can. And I feel like that's hurting his game, because now he's not coming out and playing naturally anymore. Now he's coming out and forcing the game because he wants to score quick, because he doesn't know when he's going out. And that, I feel like, is starting to cause his slump.
A little bit. And 2 things on that. One, in the silver lining of the loss to Boston recently was in that fourth quarter, late third quarter, really fourth quarter, Dallas finally played Luka and Wood together a lot. Like, that's the thing, is a lot of the time when Wood's getting minutes right now, it's not with Luka. And in that fourth quarter against Boston, Dallas made a serious push cut like a 27-point game down to 9 and made things at least interesting. And Kidd, even after the game, acknowledged like, yeah, we got to evaluate the starting lineup. We're constantly evaluating it, and it's undeniable that combination was key in us getting back into this game. And so we're like, okay, awareness. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. He's going to see the light. Well, it hasn't started yet. And then we're several games now post, like, removed from Boston. Nothing has changed. As far as Kidd and developing young players, he does deserve credit for Josh Green. Rick Carlisle left Josh Green destitute to the point where you couldn't sell him for a bag of chips on the trade market. So he does deserve credit for Green's emergence. And so I'm willing to be patient for Hardy. I'm willing to say that they probably had the expectation, even though Nico Harrison did mention Hardy as a potential option of how quick can we get Jaden up to contribute as well to fill that third ball handler role. I think they had kind of an expectation when they got Hardy. Okay, he was in the G League last year, didn't play in college. He was supposed to be at one point a projected top 5 to 10 player, and he had a bad 1-year experience in the G League. And so I think they kind of got it into their head immediately. He's going to be not a project, but that they were going to kind of leave him for the most part in the G League his rookie year. Well, the dude in like 9 games now in the G League is averaging 29 points on like 50-something% from the field, 46% from 3. I mean, he's carving it up. He's doing whatever he wants. So I argue, and you've been making the same argument, at this point, if you want him to continue to develop and not just keep, stunting on these guys, these guys who most of which won't even make it to the NBA, you have to give him a taste of actual NBA action every now and then. Like, these
other young guys are playing. That's the thing to me, DDP, is all these other young players are playing in this NBA. So that's not the excuse that we need to hear he too young or anything like that, because all these young kids are playing at the 18, the 19s, the 20. They're throwing right in the lineups and they're turning right up. So let's not use this young thing with him. You just like you said, you drop him down to G League, he goes crazy. He's going nuts. And it's not just points. He's getting you rebounds. He's getting you some assists. He's playing some defense. He's doing everything out there. The turnovers is an issue, but we knew, DDP, that was going to be an issue his first year in the NBA. Turnovers and defense was probably going to be his problem. Getting around picks, playing through picks, those things are always an issue when you're a young player, getting through picks and multiple screens and things of that nature. But like you said, man, he's got to start playing some NBA minutes, so he's got to get a taste of it so he can continue to get more acclimated as the year goes on, because you're going to need that type of a player down the line, and might as well get him prepped now so when later the season you like Jaden Hardy again.
Yep. Check this out. So entering the week, obviously Bullock is finally coming off the bench now. I think he had 14 minutes still in that game, and I think he was still scoreless. But entering the week, this was as of Sunday, this past Sunday, you had Reggie Bullock had started every game for the Mavericks that he had been available. His averages 5, 3, and 1 on 31, 29, 57 shooting splits. That is a atrocious shooting split. 29 minutes per game, and his true shooting percentage was 44%. His PER was 4.6, and his offensive BPM was a minus 4.7. That's a net rating of negative 19. That is to put that in the context, per 100 possessions, he averages 8.9 points per game. And he was starting every game, and we got like 20 games in. That's kind of incredible. Like, that's why, like, when some people are like, oh my God, he's starting Tim Hardaway again. Again, Hardaway had a great game. If it's not just a one-off and it's actually him kind of waking up and doing better, great. Kid was right on that one case. But when he started Hardaway again and everybody was groaning like, dude, what the hell? What is like, Hardaway was like 1 of 9 the game before. Why are you justifying keeping him in the starting lineup? Well, he was doing the same experiment with Bullock, and it just, in that case, it didn't pay out, and he finally had to relent and put him on the bench. So it's like if you're doing anything, or at least if you have the potential to do that, it's like he's going to stick with that. So
I don't like it.
I don't either.
Remember when I told you I said I'd rather have Hardaway Jr. starting and have a Dinwiddie come off the bench because you're worried about the ball handling. We were talking about the ball handling situation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they went out and got a third ball handler because that was the issue before. Now, here's the thing. I don't like it for the simple fact that Hardaway won't give you nothing on no damn defense. All he's going to do is come down and chuck him up. So you got another player who's just going to come down and shoot the three quick. You don't have anybody get no damn rebounds. It's Dwight Powell. Luka's still your leading rebounder. So if you start Finney Smith, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, Dinwiddie, and Luka, you're not getting anything on the board. You're not getting any second chance points. Points in the paint, you're going to get killed. And I just feel like that's just a bad lineup to them. You're going to put your team in a hole because if you're not hitting those damn three-pointers, bro, we're going to drop down quick. And then it's going to all have to be Luka and Dinwiddie making shots and then praying that Christian Wood is out of this little funk and he's turning up. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is right there, dog. And if you're talking about that Golden State one, I'm sure we're going to talk about that too. I just feel like that was an easier team for Dallas to deal with because they rely so heavily on their three-point shooting too. And they were atrocious from the three-point line. And I feel like that's the way Dallas won that game. And they still almost tied it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's very interesting what's happening here with their lineup changes and their rotation. You know, Kid, after, again, I mentioned that Boston game earlier. Kid at the time was talking about how they're constantly evaluating the starting lineup, always trying to make adjustments to get better. But then you had the Milwaukee game where they didn't start Wood, but they again had that second half, that third quarter push, and it was kind of like, okay, things are going here. And then before this game, the Warriors game, Wood again coming off the bench, nothing's changed. Kid before the game asked about the possibility on if he had considered putting Wood in the starting lineup. Wasn't a consideration at all. And like it's so weird, like moments where
are you mad at him or something?
Yeah, there's got to be something behind the scenes, because you have these moments where, like, in crunch time, at last second shot, you have like Maxey in the game instead of Wood. I'm like, Wood is shooting 44% from three, and he's an actual threat off the dribble. Like that turnover, that ball busting turnover you had against Milwaukee that cost you the game, is Maxey not making the right play because he's afraid to put the ball on the deck and do something. If you have Christian Wood there, that's it. It's done. It's very frustrating because let me throw this stat at you. So I talked about a slow start. How much did we talk about the slow start, right? Through 19 games last year, Dallas was 10-9. Through 19 games, now 20 games, but through 19 games this year, Dallas was 9-10. They're exactly where they were last year when we were dragging their asses, saying they're playing like crap. And this team legitimately has like 7 losses they have no business having. And I understand you can't win them all. I understand things are going to happen. But you have 7 losses you have no business having. How different would your season look right now if you took care of business, or at least made like logical decisions with some of these minutes and situational rotations that you're doing? So Dallas, they're 500. They are basically exactly where they were last year, because before they turned things around last year, they were 16-18. We're basically in a very similar boat right now. And I don't know that like Kemba counts as like the turning point, right? Like that team last year, through that point, it was like, okay, they figured some things out. They got going a little bit, but you also had a lot of guys coming back from like health and safety protocols. And you had been pulling guys off the street. Isaiah Thomas had a game as a Maverick, right? You had all these crazy circumstantial things where you basically had like a week of the season where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's at least going to be interesting because who the hell are these guys pulling guys off the street? And now you don't have that this year. This year it's just like, no, we're running our guys out there, and everybody's pretty much available that we would expect to be available. And we're just kind of fucking around and finding out, you know, like it's silly because 1 or 2 games that you lose and shouldn't lose, not going to really kill you by the end of the year. but you rack up 7 of them alone in the first 20 games, that will catch up with you by the end of the year, because suddenly every loss the second half of the season is going to be like, ooh, that's a big impact now on the playoff picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, they got these Pistons coming up next, right? And
Yep.
to me, I said the Dallas, one thing that Dallas struggles with are athletic teams, and Detroit is athletic. Now, here's the thing. When you were just talking about games that they should not lose, this is a game that you want to circle. That could be one of those games. The Pistons don't have a good record, but what do they have? They have athletics. They have forwards. They have guys that can crash those boards. Isaiah Stewart. They got the young dude that came out of Memphis. He's a rookie. He's a center. He gets a lot of dirt in or something like that. He attacks those boards. So the only thing that might help them is Cade Cunningham being out. But they got guys that are going to go to the hole. Their point guard and Killian. If Jaden Ivey's playing, they're going to put hella pressure on our guards. They're going to attack those boards, and they can stay and pull an upset against Dallas, DDP, because of those things. You get what I'm saying? Because that's where Dallas lacks, in those areas, and that's where those teams, like when you lost to the damn Houston Rockets, teams like that, where there should no way in hell that should even be Orlando, and they didn't have Paolo, they didn't have Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Nuggets the second time, and they didn't have Jokic, and they didn't have Jokic, and they didn't have Murray in that game. You feel me? All those things, and you lost. So please. Don't come in there playing around with these Pistons thinking, oh, it's just the Pistons. And look, they only won 5 games. No, they have the type of team that could definitely beat you.
Yeah. Check this stat out. This is from Grant Afseth on Twitter. The Mavericks have deployed a Luka Doncic, Christian Wood, and Josh lineup for 120 minutes this year. They have an offensive rating of 127.1 and a defensive rating of 97.6, a 29.5 net rating with that trio. None of their 79 3-man combos with 20 plus minutes together this year have a better offensive rating or net rating. There's your 3 guys, and you're talking about athletic, having athletes that can do something for you. Christian Wood, your best total athlete. Josh Green, a very athletic guy who's fearless and can do a little bit of everything for you offensively. Maybe we want to give more minutes to them, It's it feels like all of this just leads back to the same 1 or 2 things we're saying, and it's like we can look at it any number of ways, and every way points back to this is the one solution. So why aren't you taking it? Why aren't you deploying it? And that's why I feel like there has to be something behind the scenes here, because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up trying to see what this team is doing with some of its rotations and all of that. But speaking of the game here, another call out. This is a cool stat. So Luka had a 40-point triple-double. It's amazing that we got 33 minutes into a show and we're just now mentioning the fact it was a 40-point triple-double for Luka. 41, 12, and 12 on 14 of 27 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3. The only thing that gives me a little bit of hesitation, the free throw is a little down, 9 of 15, but also 4 steals and a block. Like the dude, and a plus 22, the dude was putting on a show. When they made that fourth quarter run, like Luka he basically had back-to-back defensive possessions where he forced a turnover and then banged a 3 on the other end. And that's just like, dude, like when you put it all together like that, it might only be like spurts and stretches here and there, but like, you put it all together like that, you are untouchable. But absolutely sensational game from Luka. With that, he now has as many career 40-point games, 20, as Dirk. Different era, yes, but that's incredible no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, that early into your career, and you've already accomplished that feat. And as long as Dirk has played with the organization, you can pretty much say, in my opinion, the way LeBron James came in and just setting records after records, and we're probably going to see him, at least in my lifetime, I'll be able to say I've seen a dude come into the NBA as a high school and become the all-time NBA leading scorer. You know what I'm saying? So LeBron's breaking damn near every record. I think this might be the same thing when you're talking about Luka in Dallas. Every significant record he's probably going to own by the time he leaves here. especially if he
Yeah.
stays with another contract. He'll probably have every record in Dallas. Period.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's honestly the way that he's kind of trending at this point. His ascension. If Dallas can actually convince him and assure them that they know what they're doing and they're going to build competently around him, then he will own every record in Dallas's, other than maybe like blocks.
Right.
He'll own every offensive record
every
in their
offensive
record book. And you know what? The cool thing about that, Dirk would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Dirk wouldn't care. Like, even if
Dirk
Luka
ain't
somehow,
never been like that.
yeah, Dirk doesn't care. He's like, I came in, I did my thing. No one can take away from me that I did that. Even if someone passes me, all right, whatever.
I'm still a dog. You can't, like you said, you can't take that away from me just because Luka come in. There's going to be people in the NBA, or there's going to continue to get the NBA. The league is continuing to get better. You're seeing athletes getting better and better and better, younger. So, of course, that's just the sign of the times and the trend. But like you said, Dirk is always respectful, and he wants to see that. He wants somebody to take that next level so they can take Dallas to the next level, because that's how much he believes and loves the organization. So, Dallas got to continue to do the right thing. And right now, I don't know. I'm not going to say they're doing the wrong thing, but right now, I don't feel like it's good for the thought pattern if you're trying to bring people in. And I think that's what I'm really looking at right here when you're dealing with Christian Wood. You're going to have people, if you're trying to get quality free agents, if you're trying to get quality players and not just get these little has-beens when the career is over. Oh, we signed blah, blah, blah 7 years late. You get what I'm saying? We're not trying to do the Eddie George signings around here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's get it right. Let's continue to do the right thing so you continue to bring quality players in here, because that's how you're going to make it. Yes, draft, we get that. But you got to get some quality players in here. They're not going to come if you're acting like that, an organization, especially they're looking at this Christian Wood situation. No matter what anybody says, these free agents are looking at this situation. And if he comes out of here saying he was frustrated his time in Dallas, you best believe the motherfuckers ain't coming.
Right. No, I agree. And you mentioned bringing in guys past their prime. I know we had this conversation the other day, but it's pretty impressive to look at. So 2012, Dallas does not get Darren Williams. He does not pick Dallas in free agency. 2015, Darren Williams signs with the Mavericks. So 3 years later. 2015, DeAndre Jordan doesn't pick Dallas in free agency. 2018, DeAndre Jordan signs with Dallas. 3 years later. 2019, Kemba Walker doesn't pick Dallas in free agency. 2022, Kemba signs with Dallas. Again, 3 years. That's a weird little coincidence there. But the thing I messaged you when I initially shared that, and that came from Panda Hank on Twitter, Panda Hank 41. This is all three cases. Dallas pushing hard for a guy at the end of his prime, at the last little sliver of his prime, trying to get him with a max deal, failing. And then once he's kind of washed and his stock is at an all-time low, picking him up for, bargain bin shopping and all of that.
Stephen Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Darren Williams, he was fine for his stint in Dallas, but like the team had no chance. The last of Dirk's career, the last playoff series he had, Darren Williams was the point guard, and I think they lost in 5 games to the Thunder in the first round. The year that OKC went on and blew the 3-1 lead against the Warriors in the West Finals. But it's for the most part you're swinging for these guys after they're washed. So you're pushing too late for them, probably swinging too hard, like throwing too much resources and effort and money at guys that are washed.
JaVale McGee.
Yeah. And then by the time they're washed and their stock is down, then you're circling back like, haha, we got you now, because you don't really have other options. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not trying to put that out there that Kemba's not going to have any benefit for us. Again, I think the bar is so low and fans kind of understand this. Like, if he gives you 10 minutes a night and he gives you a capable, like, even if his scoring average is like down, as long as he can competently run the offense and dribble the ball like under control, he's going to be an upgrade, and he's going to bring this team something that it desperately needs. Just get out there, don't turn the ball over. The scoring is almost the bonus at this point. That's such a low bar. I feel like as long as he's healthy, as long as the knees hold up and he's actually able to be on the floor and play, he'll live up to it. He'll do what he needs. Those other guys, it's like they were coming in washed and they were still being asked like, all right, man, you're kind of a centerpiece at this point.
Yeah, so we need you dropping like 25 a game. No, that's not what you need here. And that's why it could work because like you said, he averaged 11 a game, and he's coming in not to be a savior. He's coming in to be a part. So hopefully because he's coming in to be a part, he'll be able to play that part, knowing that you're not the guy. You don't have to come in here jacking up shots all the time like you're the guy. Just come in here and play some good ball, give us a good spark off the bench, good control the tempo of the game, show your leadership, show your veteran leadership on the floor. That's what you really need, because when those teams make those big runs, and Dallas sitting down Luka needs to sit a little bit longer, man. He can't be playing those high minutes and thinking at the end of the season he's going to be able to do all that again. He's going to wear it down. It's natural. So you got to be able to sit him a little bit, and Kemba's going to have to be able to fill that role. And I think he can, for what they need. We just have to see it on the court.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see how the experiment works. But the win last night, 116-113, still a nail biter, right? Like, you have all these gutsy, huge plays from Dallas. You nearly have free throw shooting still bite them in the ass at the end where they can't put it away. You have the I don't know why some people act like it's controversial that Curry got called for a travel on the first 3 points. He traveled. He travels. He takes 2 steps.
That was all time.
It's the step back, but then he picks up the pivot foot and he sets it back down. Now it's hard to tell for sure, but the fact, like, based on his reaction, I think even he kind of knows. So yeah, he got called for a travel. In that game alone, they were calling a lot more travels than usual, which I don't even think is a bad thing. They were calling it both ways on that call particularly. So I don't hate that. But you still can't put it away at the foul line. And so you still have to hold your breath while Klay Thompson takes a 3 trying to tie it up at the buzzer. And it's just like, okay, good. Whew. Because I would not have been happy to, one, go into overtime there. I don't think you're going to hold them off at that point. I think that's, even for a team that scratched and clawed and had a gutsy win to snap a 4-game losing streak, I think your momentum would have been too gutted at that point with Golden State doing that. It's like, oh my God, we should have won this in regulation. We again pissed away another game, another lead. Now we're in overtime and they have all the confidence in the world and we're on our heels because we screwed up and we didn't put it away when we had the chance. I don't think they would have held them off in overtime. So yeah, we'll see.
They would have ran out of gas, and Luka probably would have ran out of gas, and that's exactly what happened. He would have ended up at the end of the game shooting that damn step back 30-foot, 35 3-pointer, man.
With guys open in the corner.
With 7 guys in the corner, 7 guys in his face.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget too, Spencer Dinwiddie ejected in this game with kind of a soft call. Now he does foul. I don't have a problem with it being a foul. He absolutely clears out, but it's a shooting motion and he's squaring up to the basket. He's blanketed by Poole as he's driving. Elbow catches Poole in the face. I swear everyone just had the flashback of that video of Draymond just knocking the hell out of Poole, and they're just like, well, I mean, someone's got to do something. This man keeps getting beaten up every night. Like, so they call a foul, review it, call it a flagrant 2, and eject Dinwiddie. I didn't agree with that at all, but that was kind of a turning point of the game where Dallas's early control started to go away, and it's not a surprise why. Like, oh, we only have one other guy that can dribble the ball. Oh, now he's gone. All right, well, Luka and you now have to be sensational, and Josh Green, step up. You got to do something for us. You got to have like a nice breakout moment here, and both of those things happen. Like, Luka was the best player on the floor last night, and Josh Green had some very nice moments, very, very solid game all around for him. It's just a shame that it wasn't a good Christian Wood game, and you know, I meant to make this point earlier and I got distracted, but as it relates to Christian Wood, I do feel like you talk about how he goes in the game and he's quickly jacking shots. I think that even when he tries to play it the other way, even in games where he tries to kind of let it come to him a little bit more and be patient, he's kind of getting blown up on Twitter even with that. Like, even Brad Townsend has said a couple times in those games where Dallas is like trailing at the half and Christian Wood has like 3 shot attempts at the half for like 2 points. And he's kind of calling out like, no, Wood needs to be better. I'm not hating. That's just the objective fact. And it's like, yeah, okay, he's got 3 shots. I agree. He needs more shots. But you can't say on one hand that he's just kind of hunting his own bucket, and then when he is trying to be patient and let it come to him,
It's like,
even if
why ain't
he's
he
being maybe
shooting?
slightly too passive, you can't then say like, oh, he's not stepping up. He's not, giving this team
Right.
what it needs. And it's just like,
Right.
that's a difficult line to walk when your role isn't clearly defined by your head coach. When you don't know night to night what your actual role and application is going to be, or how that's going to carry over and impact the following games, like, the coach's usage of you, that has a role, that has an impact. He's sitting here basically saying with his body language, like, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want me to do and be. I will go try to do that. But you have to also act in good faith here. I will try my best to be what you're wanting me to be, but you have to be consistent. And I just don't think that kid has been with him. So there's got to be something more behind the scenes with that. But yeah, it's fascinating, I think, to see this go. Like, as I step out, like, back away from my Mavericks fandom, and I just watch this as an outside observer, it's fascinating because at some point you're like, well, we thought Rick was the problem, and Rick's gone. Now he's got a very young team who's overperforming and exciting. We thought KP was the problem, and now he's healthy and he's dropping 40 plus in a game, and he's actually playing. He's healthy. He's performing well for Washington. He might be an all-star again this year. Huh.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that really weird? When I was thinking that same thing the day I made the tweet about how KP isn't amazing. How when there ain't no pressure and all that other stuff that's going on, look at him. He healthy, getting 44 points in a game. Main thing to me is health. He's playing all the time, and I'm like, wow, you couldn't do it in Dallas. And just like you said, Rick. He don't ever want to play no rookies. He's starting one rookie, and he got another rookie coming off the bench and running for Rookie of the Year, and he don't play young players. I'm like, now ain't that some shit? Ain't that some stuff?
Absolutely is. It's very surreal.
That's just really kind of. And I keep going back to that damn Indiana shit. That's the shit that I keep going back to. That, like, okay, you was old, stale, and boring here. Now you go over and get these young boys. Now you all energetic, playing up and down the court, all lively and all this shit. I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
What's really going on here? Is it you, Mark Cuban?
I feel like it's got to be, because you don't have Donnie either. No, at least Donnie didn't go anywhere and do anything.
You feel me? Is you, Mark Cuban? Are you making people just sucking the life out of people?
Yeah, there's something with that, because even with the divorce from Donnie, Mark was like, oh, it was absolutely performance based. Basically, for like 10 years, he wasn't doing his job. Then why the fuck did you keep him around?
Years?
You let him have a hand. Like, he didn't have a contract. He worked on a handshake agreement. That they both said that very clearly. Like, so why did you keep him around in that role? Why did you let him waste 3 or 4 years of Luka? What are you talking about? This doesn't absolve you and make you look like you're in the right, Mark. It makes us look at you like, are you running this team? Are you watching and like actually considering, analyzing, and like, modifying this team?
Yes,
are you looking
I
at
do.
it and trying to make it better? Or are you just like, you like the idea of being the owner of this team, the governor of this team?
You're preaching.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're preaching.
That's
what it is.
Frustrating.
That's what it feels like. You just like
he was the super fan who got the team, and he's still the super fan.
Yes, that's what it is, bro. That's what it feels like. You're just a super fan. Like, that's what you always been. You always want to be in the mix of something. Like, bro, like these Dallas owners, bro. These Dallas owners, I don't know, man. They a whole different breed, because it's like, I don't know. It's like, I can't describe Mark Cuban, but I just feel like if I worked for you, you would frustrate the hell out of me, Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
I feel like you would drive me crazy. I feel like you would drive me crazy, and I feel like you would. You know what? I see that, because I just feel like he has that type of personality where it just drains you, and then you don't become yourself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? You become yourself anymore, because I'm keeping going back to this damn Rick Carlisle shit. And I
Yeah.
keep on looking at that damn Indiana Pacers team,
And I think it was
it's
right to
exciting.
move on. Yeah,
Yeah, it was time.
I
But I
do
feel
think it was
like
time
that
to
was
move
Mark
on,
Cuban driving
and
him too.
mainly because of Luka at that point. He
Yeah.
had lost Luka, and once
Right.
you lose the irreplaceable part, you're done.
But here's the thing too, Mark Cuban though, Mark loved Luka, so
Yeah.
that's where that dynamic already was right there. And Mark is always going to favor and let Luka do whatever. And so probably Rick was like, "Come on, man, you can't let him do that. You gonna let him do that because this is my team."
Right. Yeah. So we'll have to see. Hopefully the win last night again. Probably, at least, maybe it's a recency bias, but it felt to me like the biggest win thus far of the year. I know they've had some good candidates. Their win against the Clippers earlier in the year was great too. I think the reason this one's big is because it stops the longest losing streak they've had. I think it was since 2019, like predating the Kid era. It's the first 4-game skid of Kid's coaching career, so that must be right. So the longest losing streak since 2019. And for a team that felt like it was kind of in free fall, where the fan base was losing its mind, and again, NBA Twitter in general is toxic. I think the
Twitter
weird
in general is toxic.
Yeah. I think the weird narrative that like Mavericks Twitter is especially bad, and like they're the problem, and they're why guys don't want to play here, and like that's just a weird narrative to me, where it almost feels like the media guys that tout
they're
that
putting it out there. Yeah, they're trying to throw it out there to try to make us look bad.
The water. They're carrying the water for the Mavs at that point, because it's like, dude, I get that. Like, I get it. You're doing your job. You're asking the questions, and we're not liking the answers you're getting. I get that. Like, I went to journalism school. I've done stuff, obviously not at the NBA level. I mean, I've been in the media scrums, and I've covered as a credentialed press member before at these games. So like, I get it. But like, at the same time, I think it's weird to be frustrated with fans when the same stuff keeps happening and there's no even awareness or acknowledgement of it. It'd be one thing if there was at least some kind of ownership of it. You felt like Kid makes a bad judgment call multiple times in a row, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to change some things up, and then he actually changes something up, like, I don't know, Christian Wood in the starting lineup, or giving Jaden Hardy some minutes, bringing him up and giving him some minutes instead of bringing him up and just having him sit on the end of the bench, or what, any number of things at this point. Not starting Bullock as much as he was for as long as he was, things like that. If they made those kind of adjustments after seemingly acknowledging what we've been screaming about, then we would feel different. But it's a situation where it's like, we feel like we're the ones taking crazy pills because they act like they don't see what we see. And even when they do acknowledge that they see what we see, they don't then follow through actually making a change to that effect, i.e. giving credit for the Wood-Luka combo in the fourth quarter against Boston, saying, yeah, we're going to have to reevaluate the starting lineup because obviously that was effective. The proof is in the pudding. And then the next game comes and they're like, oh yeah, no, we made no consideration of starting Christian Wood. Like, what are you, like, it's gaslighting.
We're not going to be run by the fans. We're not going to be changing things because the fans don't like it. I feel like that's what they're doing. And I feel like, to me, Mavs media are uppity. That's my opinion of Mavs media. I feel like they're real uppity. The button-up guys don't say anything. Yeah, and I just feel like that's what it is, and I feel like that trickles down for Mark Cuban, and I just feel like that uppity Mavs uppity stuff. Feel like oh well, we know what we're talking about. We know this. We know we. That's what it just feels like. It just kind of. I'm gonna keep my peace about it.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to look at, like, and again, I have a lot of respect for these guys as far as their work, but I do think this is a weird case where maybe there's a little bit of a disconnect from an age standpoint when some of the guys that are most vocal in kind of deriding the fans here and more in line with the franchise are the guys like Townsend or Cooperstein, who are certainly older Mavs media members and all of that. And it's like, yeah, you're not really as dialed in as that. Like, the younger Mavericks media guys, like Locked On Mavs, that you don't see them with that. Like they might acknowledge like, oof, Mavs Twitter is not happy tonight, but they're not like gaslighting Mavs Twitter. I feel like that's kind of the difference to me, is like they kind of are, whether or not they 100% agree, they at least acknowledge the same problems and they kind of relate to them on a level where the rest of the Mavericks fan base doesn't like look at them and be like, man, these guys suck. They're just carrying water for the franchise and everything. Like they're not questioning anything, any answer that they're given. They're just like, okay, like, yeah, I guess that's it. Like they're not pushing back in any way. And I think that's kind of the more active role that fans are wanting from journalists at this point, is like, it's not enough just to say,
ask the real damn questions.
Yes. It's not enough just to say, well, this is what he said. I asked this question. Good question. This is what he said.
Can you expand upon that? What do you mean by that? What do you really mean? Can we ask you? And players, don't get freaking offended because don't play NBA basketball then. That's what I say. If you players get in your feelings by questions, then don't play, because those questions are gonna come. Damn it, we understand appropriate questions, but them tough basketball questions where you don't want to hear the stupid answer, you don't want to hear the why did you take that shot when the guy was open in the corner? I'm just asking you that right there. If he gets a little in his nerves and his feelings about that ain't my fault. That's what we all want to know. Why the hell did you just pass that ball and he was right and you could have had a shot? I want to know that. Tell me.
Yeah, no, I agree. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. I know we got off in the weeds a little bit there, but I do feel like it's kind of a pivot in what is expected of journalism, particularly sports journalism, moving forward. It's not enough just to kind of be the stenographer at that point. You have to actually press and push forward. Like you have to get the. And again, I'm not saying I want to do that. I'm not saying like, oh, have them step aside. I want to do it. Right. I have huge respect for the work those guys do.
Just tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. Like people want them pressed, especially if the franchise appears to be in the wrong. Like, okay, at least defend your answer and like give it like an actual.
We want the truth.
Yes, or at the very least, give me a detailed explanation of your reasoning. Like not just we didn't consider that, or like. If you have a reason for why Wood isn't getting these starts, like say like, well, working against second units, these are his shooting splits. But when he's worked against the first units, it drops to this. Like if you said something like that, it would be like, okay, at least I know you're looking at something. Right now, we just don't know. We don't know the why, and not knowing or seeing the why, it's baffling and frustrating. And I think it's just ticking people off because they're like, nothing that they're doing feels logical. It feels very much like they're just pushing back to be almost contrarian to what the fans think should happen. And it's like, okay, we're like supposed to be a good team now, right? We were in the West Finals last year and we're trying to build around our generational superstar and go win a championship. Like we need to actually make smart decisions here and not be doing a weird trolling game where it's like, oh, I know the fans want this or expect this, so I'm gonna do the opposite thing here. And like the Jaden Hardy thing, someone in the chat earlier was saying like, oh, he was joking when he said it that way, like he was kind of trolling essentially. It's like, I don't want my head coach trolling, man. Like you shouldn't be adversarial with your fan base. You should be like, if you got a reason, just give it. Doesn't even mean we have to agree. Just means we need to like know your reason. Tell us the why.
Don't do us like the old parent back in the day because I said so.
Yeah, and that's what this is. 100%. That's what this is. So anyway, again, whole different conversation, but that's kind of my stance on it, and it's been a very wild ride watching this team in recent weeks. Hopefully last night's win can be a turning point for them. Now they give a little bit more opportunity to Green. Maybe Hardaway starts to cook for a little stretch here. We've seen that. He gets in, he gets going, and he can keep it going for several games, sometimes several weeks if you're lucky. If they can do that and Luka can keep being Luka just with a little less burden, they can do a lot to right the ship here pretty quick, but we got to see it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's gonna see tomorrow. They play the Detroit Pistons. So you just broke the 4-game losing streak to a Golden State Warriors team who's 500 as well. Obviously, they're not doing as well as they probably wanted, but they came out of their little slump because they were under 500. So anytime you can beat a defending champ, especially of their caliber, and you came back and you had a lead and you lost it and you still won it. That's a good thing. But like I said, Dallas Mavericks, y'all done did it, like you said, multiple games this year. I'm gonna count at least 5. You said 7. I'm gonna count at least 5 games that y'all knew better than to play this team like that, and y'all did it. Don't try to play them Pistons coming in saying they're only won 5 games. Y'all gonna lose that game. Because I'm telling you, this young athletic Piston team is going to try to give y'all fits. And please try to crash the boards. The Golden State Warriors, I don't know if they're a big rebounding team. I don't think they are. And they still whipped your ass on them boards. So please.
Kevon Looney looks like the second coming of Wilt Chamberlain out there.
You get what I'm saying, bro? Like 50 to 39 against the Golden State. Golden State ain't got nobody on them boards. Like, come on,
funny?
Dallas.
You signed JaVale McGee. You signed JaVale McGee specifically because you got just destroyed by Kevon Looney in the West Finals, and you're like, well, we got to address that. JaVale McGee, guaranteed contract, player option in year 3, did not play last night. You got him for this reason, for this specific reason, did not play last night. They made a few moves, and thus far, whether it's luck or bad evaluation, they have not panned out. And now they're trying to scramble, and the Kemba
we all
thing,
see it.
Yeah, the Kemba thing, kind of interesting, but like my expectations are low. Yeah,
we know what you're doing. Like
we know what you're doing, even if
the real Mavs fans are sitting here like, we know what the hell you're doing. You're trying to cover up them bad things, and we see right through that. So hopefully you just ride through it, and we just gonna just hopefully we can ride through it. But we're not fooled by it. Where I'm not fooled by it. I know you ain't fooled by it. I know there's a lot of guys out there that I've been listening to on the Mavs tip that started following. They don't believe it either. So you ain't fooling us. Let's just try to get it right, and let's just try to beat these Pistons, man, and don't slip on them. Don't play down to them.
I agree. But that will wrap up the show here. I feel like we had a good, lively discussion tonight. A lot of venting. Sometimes the more positive feeling comes from just getting the bad out, just getting it out of your system, talking it out and everything. So hopefully that's what we did a little bit here. Hopefully you guys were able to commiserate with us a little bit, and we'll see if this team can turn the corner here and get back on track. But regardless, whether it's good, whether it's bad, we're going to be here every Wednesday to break it down with you, talk with you about it, and we'll ride that same train with you. So tune in next week. We'll be back till next week. God, we have got to figure out some kind of tagline, man.
Oh, you was going to say, till next week, positive. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But you know what? It's just
like I got right up to the point where I was like,
you got
the tagline and end it, and then my brain went,
I thought you had it. That's why I was staying quiet, because you was building it up. You were building it up really good, and I was like, okay, he got something. And then it was like, and I was like, okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll get it. We'll get it. I was feeling it though. I was like yes.
I was sitting there. I was like, okay, there it is.
Son of a bitch. All right. But till next time, guys. Peace.